Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Mayor Mike, and I am at 740 Main Street, affectionately known as East Hartford Town Hall. And today we have one Ask the Mayor question I'll be providing a response to. And then I want to take an opportunity to update you folks on some of the work we're doing on murals and also some of the development work that's taking place. I occasionally get questions out there, and since I have an open window of time, this is a good place. So question number 140, this is the only one we have this week. It comes from John. He says, thank you for the beautiful dog park. And John, I appreciate that recognition because I do believe it is a beautiful dog park. That being said, we need more things in the south end of town. Former Mayor Tim Larson, who lives in the north end, would disagree with you, but I understand your sentiment. Love the mural at Forbes Street and O'Connell Drive. So in terms of another thing coming to the south end, John, at Foreign Park where the dog park is, there's, I would call it almost a racquetball wall or a handball wall toward the school. Well, there's going to be a canine mural representing some of the town's dogs and our commitment to the canine program. Also at Lord Pool, which is where O'Connell School is, also in the south end of town, there'll be a mural on one side of that particular pool building. And also at Gold Star Pool, which is at Goodwin School, there'll be another mural there. That package of murals goes to the town council for approval at their upcoming October meeting. And then we hope to get those done this year before the weather really turns ugly. Now let me also go into some of the control tower items. Also receiving a number of questions on those outside of the Ask the Mayor. It's probably a good time to update everybody where we are. First off, let's talk about Concourse Park. Those are the 470 market rate apartments. And I want to stress that they're market rate. They are not low income apartments. They're being built on the old Showcase site. And what we know is the town, in order to attract those, had to put in an incentive. We've set the taxes there for 27 years. And for me, it's a really easy decision. If we don't build them, we have an empty lot and we collect about $3 million in taxes over 27 years. If we build them, we have 470 units, upwards of 800 employees, and we collect in excess of $30 million of taxes over the same time. More importantly, those 800 people represent $15 million of disposable income that is introduced to Silver Lane, and that helps us attract retail and restaurants back to Silver Lane. So it's a slow process. It's not going to be overnight, but that's the logic and the reason why we attracted those apartments through tax setting agreements, and it's for the future development of Silver Lane. Let me talk about Silver Lane Plaza. The redevelopment agency back in January commissioned a study consistent with state law to say, what do we need on Silver Lane? And the study came in, there were 2 public hearings, and in the latter part of August, the redevelopment agency received the study from Goldman and York. And essentially, the line from the particular study said, at least the one that I remember, Silver Lane is not overdeveloped, it is under demolished. Well, we're taking that message to heart. And that report was forwarded on to the town council, who unanimously adopted it. Now the redevelopment agency has had 1 hearing, and it is specific to, through eminent domain, that's where the government uses the powers to take a property at fair market value. And we're looking at Silver Lane Plaza, or I should more appropriately say the redevelopment agency is looking at Silver Lane Plaza. That used to be the old JM Field site. It is in significant disrepair. We have fined the owner numerous times, and we need to see a different vision from that particular parcel. So the town is attempting to exercise its powers of eminent domain, but only when the redevelopment agency, which will receive 2 appraisals, 2 updated appraisals, we think the value is a little bit south, underneath about $5 million, and we will attempt to buy it from the owner that way. In the event that the redevelopment agency agrees, they will forward that to the town council. That could be as early as the first meeting in November. And then it will be up to the town council whether or not to set a price and authorize the administration to pursue eminent domain. Me personally, I think we need to pursue the purchase of that property as hard as we can. There's no other way to turn Silver Lane around, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to build lovely apartments if we're going to have that particular dilapidated piece on Silver Lane. So you can see in at least a two-pronged phase, we are working on changing the trajectory of Silver Lane. Item number 3, Rentschler Field, also on Silver Lane, just a little bit down the street. They are fully approved and permitted for up to a 2.9 million square feet of warehouse space, 2 buildings. Each building is going to be fully occupied by 1 tenant, and there will be an additional 2 to 8 buildings, very, very small in front, that will also be a technology park. Now, the beauty of that is, again, as I mentioned, it's all approved and they're coming in for permits. Number 1, we've signed a memorandum of understanding where, based on the truck traffic that will come through East Hartford, they've given us a $4 million impact payment. That $1 million of that 4 will go to closing the East Coast Greenway gap, and the other $3 million will be a down payment, a very large down payment of $3 million toward the construction of a bubble. And that bubble will be for programming for our own town's children to be able to play sports throughout the years as if there were no weather conditions involved. So I think both of those things are really good things for the town. But going back to additional things that this warehouse project means, in addition to the $4 million impact payment, the town has approved the setting of the fees of inspections and permits at $4 million. So once the construction starts, we will see a steady revenue stream to offset some of the ongoing costs we have. And finally, after year 5, there'll be about $4 to $4.5 million of new taxes coming in from that particular development. So that's what East Hartford needs. And you're starting to see, if you take a step back, a mosaic being painted on Silver Lane. You're seeing jobs at Rentschler Field. You're seeing increased taxes at Rentschler Field. You're seeing 2,000 new jobs, 400 temporary construction jobs. And then just down the street, you're going to see a developer hopefully want to do something exciting at Silver Lane Plaza, only if the town is successfully able to either negotiate the sale or implement eminent domain. And then finally, at the Showcase Cinema site, rather than a blighted property, you're starting to see additional people relocate there. So those are 3 good signs that the vibrancy of Silver Lane is on the horizon. We just need to execute our plan. Finally, let's talk about Church Corners Inn. And a huge kudos goes out there to our legislative delegation, led by Majority Leader Jason Rojas, Representative Jeffrey Curry, Representative Henry Jenga, and Senator Saud Anwar. They were instrumental in creating what they call a community investment fund. Community investment fund is $875 million set aside by the state of Connecticut for 49 specific disadvantaged communities who may, over the history of time, not been fully available or made itself fully available to some of the other investments that other towns like the Glastonburys, the Simsburys, the Avons of the world had, simply because of our demographic. So that 875 allows us to get a jump start on doing things like renovating Church Corners Inn. So again, kudos to the legislative delegation first for putting the $875 million in place. And that will be split over 5 years, so approximately $175 million a year for 5 years. That totals the 875. And each community's ideas, those 49 communities, submit to a group. Our submittal had to do with renovating Church Corners Inn. And while I haven't seen the actual award yet, based on internet postings or social media postings, I believe the town has been approved for $2.5 million of community investment funds, specifically for the purpose of buying, relocating, and renovating Church Corners Inn. And why that's important is we've unfortunately had over 2,300 calls for service by the police alone in 5 years. There are a series of crimes that have committed there. There's unacceptable drug use committed there. Our fire department responds there somewhere between 75 and 100 times a year. A lot of that is to administer Narcan for overdoses. So we have an unseemly history at Church Corners Inn. So the town, because the private sector has not done its job with respect to Church Corners Inn, will step in, and we will again take that building down, not demolition, but to its bones. We will leave the facade and any internal structure, but the heat, the light, the power, all of that will be pulled out. It will be put in by a private developer, and hopefully it will be turned into something. I've got a request to do veterans supportive housing. That will be considered. I've got a request to do low income and moderate housing. That will be considered. I've got requests in for artist studios. There will be a request for proposal, and anybody who has a vision for that is certainly welcome to submit. A couple of other things. I want to mention that the Fall Fest is October 8th from 11 to 3 at the Town Green. That's the same day the marathon, the Greater Hartford Marathon, takes place. So East Hartford will be a busy place on the 8th. I also want to remind everybody that September 30th represents the last day that any business owner can submit an American Rescue Plan Act Business Incentive Fund application. That goes through Jay Marginelli from the Connecticut River Valley Chamber of Commerce, who's assisting the town. The reason we're shutting it down is we have over 65 applications. We have $4.4 million set aside to stimulate the local economy. And if each one of those receive the maximum allocation of $125,000, we are oversubscribed by over $1 million. So we're taking a pause. We're going to analyze the 65 applications that we have. So again, the cutoff to get an application in and a placeholder is September 30th at the close of business, which is 4:30. So if you're interested, get your applications in and we'll go from there. I do believe that at the last meeting, the town hall renovation project was given tacit approval by the town council. There will be a resolution that goes to the town council at the next meeting to make it official. But we will, in all likelihood, if that resolution is approved, by the end of the year be moving out of town hall. Some will work remotely, which we know through COVID can be done, and others will move to the Community Cultural Center. So in essence, town hall will move to the Community Cultural Center by the first of the year. That will mean you'll pay differently when you come in to pay your taxes. Instead of coming here to 740 Main Street, you'll be going down to Chapman Place in the Community Cultural Center. So stay tuned for more information on that. Kate from my office, who handles all social media, does a phenomenal job, and she'll be pushing that information out once we know the details. Finally, I've received a couple of questions on the Veterans Memorial Clubhouse. Two separate things are happening there. The first thing is Antonazzi and Associates has come up with a plan to renovate that. They're our outside architectural firm, and we will be bidding the work that they would like to be seen, that they would like to be done. Most of it is what I call envelope work. It's, taking care of the windows, taking care of the roof, taking care of the siding. If there's brickwork there, basically sealing that up. We've got some deteriorating sidewalks and a little bit of foundation damage, taking care of that, and renovating with fresh paint and so forth the inside. The state of Connecticut, again, through the magnificent work of our legislative delegation, has given us or provided to us $4 million to do that. But what we're asking for is a separate thing. This is a separate public-private partnership request for proposal. We want to see an outside organization with respecting the community that lives around the Veterans Memorial Clubhouse come to us with a proposal. And there's a request for proposal that you can answer right now that I believe is open. You can check the town's website under the purchasing department. And if you want to run a catering business out of there, if you want to run a a conference center, if you want to run a small business, provided it's permitted in that particular use, you can respond to the RFP, and then the town will select an outside vendor to basically run that. And that's really January 1st, 2024 and beyond. So work on the Veterans Memorial Clubhouse will take place in 23, and then it will reopen with under the watchful eye of a new private entity, which will have 24/7 access to it, and that will be in 2024. So that is it for today. I've passed along a tremendous amount of information. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at my office, and that's 860-291-7201, or you can email me through Ask the Mayor, and we'll be happy to put your answers on this particular Facebook promotion or presentation the following week. So this is Mayor Mike. Hope you have a good week, and as the weather turns make sure you recognize that our leaf collection season is coming up pretty soon. That's a service few towns offer, but proudly East Hartford does. So hopefully everybody takes advantage of that. And this is Mayor Mike signing off. Have a great day.